everyone, Nat Amoore here. Super excited to announce that my new book, The Power of Positive Pranking, is out now. Woo! So, to celebrate, I've got together just a few of my amazing KidLit friends to do a little sneak preview reading for you of the first chapter and a half. So I hope you're ready. I would like to introduce The Power of Positive Pranking, written by Nat Amoore and read by a whole bunch of people who are way more talented and interesting than me. Green peas. Rule 1. The first rule of green peas is shh.
I try to hide my nerves as our sports teacher, Miss Mesher, explains how cross-country day is going to work. And next Friday, years 5 and 6 will meet in their assigned groups on the bottom oval at... I hold my breath and close my eyes. Here it comes.
Beep, 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 beep. Miss Mazaire stops for a moment and scans the school assembly. I keep my eyes fixed on the maths folder on my lap. That's only the first alarm clock. It's stuck to the bottom of a seat over near where Year 3 sits.
It's the little black clock with the red numbers. The first few I set to go off are the quieter ones. They'll build up slowly, with one going off every minute until the grand finale under Mrs. Kieran's butt.
Miss Mesher tries to ignore it, probably assuming some kid's forgotten to put their phone on silent, and continues with the weekly sports news. At the beginning of lunch, so that we can make sure...
Beep, 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 beep. Ding, 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 ding.
Some kids are starting to notice and look around. Teachers as well. I can't look too interested yet. The next one will go off under the seat just 2 rows in front of me. Then I can pay attention. For now, I focus on my maths folder. My name is spelt out with stickers on the front, and I pick at the W.
It was already partially coming off, and I keep picking until it breaks in half, so it now reads Casey Vu instead of Casey Woo. Ms. Messer is trying her best to stay on track. Make sure that everyone is checked off before we...
Beep, 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 beep. Ding, 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 ding.
Map, map, map. That's the one. The one 2 rows in front of me under Amelia Burge's seat. She jumps into the air a little, looking around her. This alarm clock's louder than the first 2. The kids near me start to giggle. Teachers stand up. I can pay attention now without looking suspicious. Map, map, map.
It's a pretty horrible sound. I can't imagine anyone wanting to wake up to that. Everyone's paying attention now. Miss Mazaire has given up on her speech and is looking to the teachers on stage for help. A murmur spreads through the assembly. Heads turn left and right, confused. I join in, looking around. But I'm not confused. I know the next one will be in the Year 5 section. And it'll be a good one.
I spent a lot of time planning this event. I tested all the alarm clocks and put them in order from quietest and most subtle to loudest and most obnoxious. Obnoxious is a great word. It sounds like some kind of disease, and it has an X in it, and X words always sound like they're attacking something.
I sat in assembly for weeks, secretly mapping out chairs in my notebook and marking where everybody sits. Then I plotted where each alarm clock would go. I did test runs at home, syncing the clocks and setting them a minute apart. I laid them out in order on my bedroom floor, listened to them go off and adjusted everything for the right effect. All with Grandpa downstairs, happily watching his shows with closed captions on. No idea what I was up to just above him. It's one of the upsides to Grandpa being deaf. Alarm clock testing doesn't bother him at all.
Zeke grins at me from the row in front, but I glare back at him. It's one of the Green Peas rules. No acknowledgement of other members during an event. We moved it down on the list. Number 32 from memory. That doesn't make it any less important. But Zeke can't help himself. He's just so... Zeke! I look at my watch. Here we go!
Beep, 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 beep. Ding, 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 ding.
Map, map, map.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey! I try my best not to smile as I think of the little Santa alarm clock gaffer taped to the bottom of a Year 5's chair. I had to tape Santa around the stomach because his arms and legs move back and forth like he's making a snow angel when the alarm goes off.
Tess Heckleston catches my eye and gives me a wink. She's kept a pretty low profile since she got busted with that money thing a couple of months ago, but I should thank her for funding this event before she became as broke as the rest of us.
The assembly is in full chaos now. Kids are laughing, the teachers are trying to calm everyone down, but it's not working at all. I knew it would go like this. That's why, after the Santa clock, I set them all for 30 seconds apart.
Beep, 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 beep. Ding, 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 ding.
Map, map, map.
Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh.
Bring, 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 bring.
It's 8:40 a.m. on WBS 107.2 and it's another beautiful day in Watterson.
Brank, brank, brank.
Full pandemonium isn't set in now. I love the word pandemonium. It sounds like what it is. I love words that do that. And as I look around me at the mess our school assembly has become, there could be no word better than pandemonium.
Kids are standing on chairs or looking under them. Everyone can hear the noise, but hardly anyone knows where it's coming from. The teachers are shouting now, trying to get us all under control and find the source of the alarms. It's not going to work. I placed the clocks away from the aisle seats where the teachers are, and the kids are enjoying this way too much to help the teachers locate my clocks. This act of defiance is nothing if not well thought out.
I look at Mrs. Karen. Her face is turning slightly red, maybe even a little purple. Her hands clutch the armrests of the big wooden chair that sits on stage, fingernails digging into the wood. She looks like a kettle heating up. I know what's coming next, and my guess is it will be just enough to make her boil over.
I can see the back of Cookie's head from where I'm sitting. She doesn't turn around. She can follow the green peas rules way better than Zeke, but the tension in the back of her neck tells me she can't wait for the next bit either. I look at my watch. 8:44 a.m. Seconds to go.
Beep, 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 beep. Ding, 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 ding.
Map, map, map.
Oh, the fields we go, laughing all the way. Ho, ho, ho.
Bring, 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 bring.
Reaching 24 today with clear skies and no chance of
Brank, brank, brank.
And 3, 2, 1.
Quack, 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 quack. The chicken alarm goes off under Mrs. Kieran's butt. And the kettle boils over. She is fuming. I can almost see the steam coming out of her ears. The entire school stops and turns to face the principal. Quack, 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 quack.
Mrs. Kieran leaps up like she's just laid an egg, and the school erupts into laughter. She reaches under her chair and rips off a chicken alarm clock covered in gaffer tape. The plastic chicken in her hand flaps its wings.
Quack, 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 quack.
With that, timed as perfectly as I'd hoped, a banner drops from the ceiling of the school hall. Wake up! Dinosaurs thought they had time too. Save our planet now!
I smile proudly. It's fine to do that now. My grin will be lost in the craziness around me. None of the teachers suspect that the quiet kid with the maths folder is behind the elaborate protests. Or, as Mrs. Kieran is calling them, pranks.
But I, Casey Wu, am not just a prankster. I'm an activist. I may be only 11 years old, but I have a lot to say and I will be heard, no matter how loud I have to be. Sometimes you need to take action to make a difference. Everyone can stand up in their own way. Every activist has their own superpower. And mine is pranking.
I slide one of Mum's cards out of my folder. It seemed appropriate to bring this one with me today. Trixie Woo's thoughts on making a difference. You only get one life, Cassie baby. Make it count. Make a difference, whatever you want that to be, big or small, to one person or to the whole world. Be the change that you want to see. Find your strength and use it. Love, Mum.
Green peas rule 2. It's not about the glory, it's about the message.
I get a few low fives as I make my way back to class. Green peas isn't a total secret at Waterston Primary, but kids here don't dob on each other. I mean, if someone's hurting another kid or bullying them or something, there's no code. You absolutely go down for something like that. But when it comes to kids' business, we sort of look out for each other.
I take my usual seat in Mr. Derry's class between Siki and Cookie. Cookie gives me a slight nod. She's so cool and super spy-like. Siki's breaking the rules as usual. He's grinning ear to ear and giving me a double thumbs up. I just ignore him. It's often the approach I often take with Siki.
Mr. Deary stumbles in looking pretty frazzled. It took a long time for the teachers to get everyone under control out of assembly and back to class. Mr. Deary used to teach Year 5, but everything got reshuffled when Mr. Bajak went on paternity leave. It was a good trade. Mr. Bajak smelled like feet. But not just his feet smelled like feet. His suit smelled like used socks. His aftershave smelled like old leather. And his breath, well, you know that black stuff that builds up underneath the corners of your toenails? Mr. Bajak smelt like he ate that for breakfast. Bleh!
So Mr. Deary and his peppermint smell is a definite upgrade. Okay, kids, we're going to try to move on from this morning's little, disruption, Mr. Deary says, rearranging the papers on his desk for the third time.
Disruption? I like that. It's a much better word than prank. Well done, Mr. Deary. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Disrupt the way the world is going. I scribble the word disruption in my workbook.
Mr. Deary finally finds the book he's looking for and waves it at the class. Can we all get our workbooks out, turn to page 34, and we'll put this morning behind us and get on to some learning? A crackle in the speaker on the ceiling tells me Mrs. Kieran has other ideas.
Students! Mrs. Kieran's voice screeches through the speaker. It's so loud and distorted that it sounds like she has the microphone shoved halfway down her throat. Today's display of anarchy will not be tolerated.
I jot down the word anarchy on the corner of my workbook. I like the sound of that one too. Not the sound of it squawking through the speakers at me, care of Mrs. Kieran of course, but the sound of it as I roll it around in my head. I make a note to look it up later.
I disagree. No one listens to you when you're a kid, even when you've got something really important to say. We tried to ask the supermarket at Watto Mall to stop using single-use plastic bags, but we couldn't even speak to anyone higher up than the half-asleep 17-year-old who ran the assistance counter, which, by the way, should definitely be renamed. The Green Peas events are my way, our way, of yelling so loud they can't ignore us.
The screeching continues. I expect anyone who knows anything about this matter to report to my office and give themselves or the offending students up immediately. The speaker crackles once more and falls silent. Mr. Deary sighs.
Does anyone want to come forward? Mr. Deary asks, looking round the classroom. The kids all look at each other. Zeke, Cookie and I join in. Nobody raises their hand. I love my school. Very well then. Let's put the matter behind us and move on with our comprehension exercises.
As Mr. Deary opens up his exercise book, Matt Cooper's hand shoots up. I hold my breath for a second. I don't know if Mac knows about us. He's a bit of a muso at school, plays guitar in a band, and has that special ability to look blasé about pretty much everything. Blasé basically means whatevs, but it sounds way more sophisticated, don't you think? It's one of my new favourite words. Anyway, Mac seems like a cool kid. I don't think he'd dob us in, but you never know.
Mr. Deary looks up. Yes, Mac? Maybe instead of just ignoring the prank or trying to bust the kids who did it, we should talk about why it happened. Mac flicks his hair away from his eyes and shrugs.
Maybe Mac's not just a cool muso type after all. I'm impressed. I take back my label of blasé and make note to find a more appropriate adjective for Mac. I turn to Mr. Deary, super keen to hear his answer. Okay, he says, closing the book in front of him. What do you want to talk about?
Not sure, says Mac. But it's not just another prank, right? I mean, whoever's doing it is trying to get our attention. To, think about our planet and how we're wrecking it. I mean, it's kind of scary for us kids with climate change and everything. And are we even going to have a planet to live on?
My belly's doing flip-flops. This is exactly what I wanted. Mr. Bijak would have shut this conversation down by now, but Mr. Deary is different.
He nods. You're right, Mac. I agree. It's scary. Does anyone else worry about this sort of thing? Every hand shoots up, including my own. All right then, he says. Let's talk about it. Comprehension can wait until after lunch. We all close our books.
Mr. Deary rubs his forehead. Now, it's a pretty big subject. Does anyone have anywhere in particular they want to start? Every hand in the class shoots up again.
Mr. Deary points to Isla. Let's start with you, Isla. She drops her hand. I think it's really hard to know what we should do about it. I mean, I don't really like being in big crowds at protests or public speaking, but I want to help too.
Mr. Deary nods. I think the first thing we should talk about is how you can find your own way to take a stance for what you believe in. Some people do it through science or politics, and others through protests or writing. Why don't we talk about some of the ways you can help? Any ideas? Hands go up again. I can't hide my grin this time. See? I knew kids have a lot to say.
So everyone, I hope you enjoyed that little sneak preview of my new book, The Power of Positive Pranking. A huge thank you to all the amazing KidLit people who joined in for that reading. And, of course, if you liked it and you want to know a little bit more, The Power of Positive Pranking is in bookstores now. And if you haven't checked out my first book, Secrets of a Schoolyard Millionaire, you could probably pick that up too at the same time. Hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks so much. And book launch day! Woo!